How's it going, everyone? Hopefully you're doing well. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Siege Mode, the different kind of variations of it, and also show you a few pictures or videos of the tanks actually in action going through the Siege Mode. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So what is the Siege Mode? Well, there are two different types. There is one where it's automatically done, like with the UDES 16 or the 1516 and the STB 1. Where you go under a certain kilometer an hour, and then you can use your siege mode to get more gun depression or elevation. As long as you are under that threshold, and it will say it in Tank GG or even in the game, maybe I can't quite remember. But once you go below that, you can then activate siege mode, and then you can be annoying on ridge lines and get like minus 15 degrees of gun depression, etc. The other type is the STRVs and the Kunzer Panzer, also the UDES 03. All of them require you to click a button. And then once you click that button, usually by default it is X. Once that is pressed, you can then go and use the siege mode as you wish. The STRVs and all of the Swedish TDs that are past tier 8 all have this, and they'll be able to move their guns from left and right, up and down, whatever, like a normal tank. You kind of act like a turret that just doesn't move. But you can move forwards, albeit very, very slowly. An important thing that I want to bring up is that the UDES 03 actually gets a DPM increase. It is the only Swedish TD at the moment that does this. None of the others get a DPM increase. The only increase that they get in siege mode is aim time, dispersion, and those characteristics and dispersion when on the move and whatnot. So as soon as you enter siege mode in a Swedish TD, you get benefits to the gun massively, with detriment to the mobility. An important thing to mention about the siege mode for the Swedish TDs, as long as you don't press W, A, S and D while you're in there and you have binos or a camo net, you will not get rid of those binos or camo nets. So you can move freely as much as you like, left or right, up, down, doesn't matter. Your camo net and binos won't go off. The exact same thing is for the Kunzer Panzer, just like the STRVs. However, you do gain quite a longer reload, and yeah, sure, your gun gets more accurate, but you don't really gain a lot out of it. It's not like the STRVs, where you gain so much more out of the tank because you can then shoot, and your aim time's really, really good. Everything about the gun just improves. The Kunzer Panzer kind of gets worse in most of the stats, so it's not really worth it. But I talked about that in my full review, and you can watch that. This is just about the siege mode. As you can see here, we have two Kunzer Panzers lined up, and they are racing each other in like a little drag race. So the Kunzer Panzer mobility, yes, it does half, but it already goes at 65, so it's going to be, of course, it's going to be faster without the siege mode. But in the siege mode, you're not really going to lose too much. And the majority of the time that you do enter it is because that you just want to get that one very accurate shot off. So it's not completely useless, but most of the time just stay out of it, I guess, because yeah, more DPM and just faster in every way. Now for this drag race, I have set up the UDES and the STB, and as you can see, the different thresholds where the siege mode ends is slightly different between the tanks. The STB is faster overall than the UDES, so keep that in mind. And the difference between them, you can really tell because it will come out of the siege mode a lot faster than the STB does. So yeah, you just get to see the different comparisons. And finally, just for fun, we'll do a drag race between the STRVs. So this one is a little bit different because it is a massive difference between the two. The others, not so much, and they just come out of the siege mode when they need to, but the STRV, really, you zoom into position without siege mode, you get there, and then you just activate it, and then you farm damage and do whatever. So yeah, it's kind of comical, really, the difference between them. So hopefully you learned something, hopefully you did enjoy. It's just a kind of quick little video just to kind of show you everything about the siege modes. If you do want really, really in-depth stats about all of this, then I recommend you go to tanks.gg. and then look at all the stats. You can click the little toggle at the very top, which will enable Siege Mode, and then you can see what the real differences are. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.